Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready?
Ready!
They want all the money that you can give them. If you want to right the ship here, you've got to get rid of Fisher.
This is going to be a team that's going to be liquidated in a couple of years, or next year even. They are the less extreme version of the Miami Marlins.
Let someone who actually takes pride in the things they own something. Take mommy and daddy's money somewhere else, dork.
What could have been? I've been trying to get this video out for at least a month, at most 2 years. Here we are. Basically, the sports version of capitalist America taking place. Definitely has no effect on civilization, considering all the public money going into it when they were supposed to finance a $12 billion stadium in a bigger market. Even though what has been discussed amongst the media is the Nevada expedition and the Sacramento experience, this franchise reeks, and not just because of the Nevada thing. This toxicity has been sewn into this organization's DNA since as early as the Kansas City days. And also when you consider how their tenure at Philadelphia ended. At this point, this is mostly for my own catharsis. If you do want to follow in the footsteps of a toxic organization, this doesn't just apply to sports, it can apply to anything. You can just follow the footsteps that will be outlined in this video, right here for you. It's literally just 4 steps.
Would you like to continue living with us, your loving natural parents? Or would you rather live with this twisted, loveless billionaire?
It may actually come as a bit of a surprise that this franchise was one of the most successful in the beginning. One of the American League's original franchises that quickly became a powerhouse while in Philly. From 1910 to 1914, they won 4 pennants and 3 World Series titles, and then they also won 3 straight pennants from 1929 to 31 with 2 World Series titles. Plus, the 1929 team is considered the greatest ever to take the field. Keep in mind, this was during the era of the Murderers Row. This right here is a tale of shared markets and shiny toy syndrome. The beginnings aren't that bad when you consider they shared a market with another highly successful franchise, at least revenue-wise, not necessarily legacy-wise. And this franchise has only had one good ownership group. Now come the 50s and down go the aura of this franchise. The National League neighbors started to get going. Since this is a video on the A's and not the Phillies, we can just summarize this by saying a lack of revenue led to selling players, and then this is what caused them to move to Kansas City. So, fresh city, fresh start for the franchise. Sort of. Arnold Johnson died out of nowhere in 1960, 5 years after moving to Kansas City. And so, the legend of Charlie Finley. First off, saying Kansas City is a great sports town, and I'm sure we'll have excellent support.
6.5 hours later.
He started openly looking to relocate. Definitely a trustworthy individual. From Dallas to Louisville to Atlanta, San Diego, Milwaukee, Seattle. He was looking all around. Looking. When it came to his relationship with Kansas City officials, that didn't really help either. In 1964, Finley signed a 2-year lease in Louisville and was intent on moving the A's there. But the American League owners said that wouldn't work. The last minute 9-1 vote against it left him thwarted, but he was still trying to move out of Kansas City immediately. And he got his wish to move out of Kansas City, ultimately. What an excellent bit of justice. Right away, a dynasty started. But Charlie Finley took an issue with attendance and the Oakland Coliseum lease.
What more do these rich men want?
And so in 1978, he negotiated a sale of the A's to Denver billionaire Marvin Davis with the intent of moving the franchise to Colorado. But when Oakland Coliseum officials fought the deal in court, Finley became frustrated with the Bay Area. This is someone who also tried to move to New Orleans and Toronto, and he tried to sell to Davis again for a higher price before the talks fell through. He was trying so hard, and he was citing attendance problems, even though attendance skyrocketed when Walter Haas bought the team. Surely there weren't attendance problems because they didn't trust someone who was a greedy capitalist. Surely that wasn't the case, right? So, as much as 14 years is a good amount of time, it's still not that much. Because right on cue, when Mr. Haas passed, they were sold to investors Steve Schott and Ken Hoffman. Here we go, again, with the generational greed across this franchise.
Tell me, JR, which slut are you going to stay with tonight?
What difference does it make? Whoever it is, it's got to be more interesting than the slut I'm looking at right now.
So this, the primary reason for the elephant in the room, one might argue. Entitlement, delusion, ill-advised expeditions, dumb, greed-based approaches. So the Coliseum was birthed in 1966, and this was a very popular era of multi-purpose stadiums. The problem is this: nothing's ever built to last. In the mid-90s, the Raiders came back to Oakland, and there was a big turn. I'm sure you all are aware of this turn, and if not, here's a little visual aid. I mean, you can look at this a certain way, and we'll look at it this way just for the sake of this video. What we can say here is, I don't know about a Major League Baseball franchise filling out 63,000 seats on a regular basis. 45,000, sure, but 63,000, and when you consider the cost for that level of capacity, $200+ million in debt. It's only projected to be paid off this year of this video's upload. There you have it. So, I mean, one can also make the case that it wasn't entirely the new owners at the time fault for wanting to cut payroll. One can definitely make that case. So, in the early 2000s, a fierce political conflict erupted in Oakland's Uptown District over a proposal to build a new A's ballpark. Some land baron bullshit, essentially. Trying to find a new ballpark for the A's was always something.
Yeah, they draw 5,000, and you know why? Because the owner, John Fisher, has wrecked the club. And he has shown really disdain for competing in this sport while setting up this whole Vegas plan and essentially wanting to fail in Oakland so Vegas would look that much more rational.
The next expedition to Fremont, supposedly said to be privately financed, something that their Bay Area neighbors did. Cisco Field, 32,000 seat baseball only stadium, and part of a ballpark village with shops, restaurants, and condominiums. And supposedly, since obviously it's nearby Silicon Valley, there would be investors on the horizon. Honestly, it's not a bad idea. It didn't work out regardless, because the problem here is Fremont residents just thought it was a form of intrusion, the unnecessary clogging of their streets. So there you have it, trying to build in a suburb where people like their peace and quiet, very valid peace and quiet. That doesn't work. What a surprise. Let's And now we go to the other big city of the Bay Area. But, never mind. If you didn't know, the Giants were basically set to move to Tampa Bay, but Walter Haas gave territorial rights completely to that organization, and it helped them stay in San Francisco. I'm not gonna lie, I don't think either side is necessarily nice in this scenario, but I mean, if you ask me, I don't think it was realistic to expect a competitor, a direct competitor, to give up 43% of their designated MLB territory, regardless of whoever was in the right or the wrong in this scenario. It was just 4 years of nothing happening. Almost half a decade of inaction, and trying to force a square peg into a round hole is just... More land, more shiny objects, more opportunity. Supposedly, Laney College. This is actually an ideal spot. You know, it's in Oakland, so no territorial rights problems. It's in Oakland, no suburb problems. So, you know, on paper, this is the right move, don't you think? Unfortunately, there remains a flaw in the plan. I mean, just think about how much intrusion this is on, like, being right next to the college, and just how many resources and funds would be lost. Because, I mean, it would be bound to garner too much traffic. There's already, like, that sector already gets a lot. Is there any way at all for any of these people to not be land barons with their expeditions? Like, is there any way at all? So, this made way for Howard Terminal, though. The one bright side of this franchise up to this point is they surely haven't embodied a less extreme version of the Florida Miami Marlins, so that's one thing.
Don't throw that away.
Well, I'm not paying the 5 cents for that stupid recycling thing.
You don't pay 5 cents, you get 5 cents back. Here, read the label here. Vermont, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York, refund, 5 cents.
I mean, you go back and look at the old Oakland team that we are part of. We're still in a massive group chat and stuff like that, and we still talk pretty frequently. We just added 1 or 2 pieces with Bomel. We got a chance to do something special here.
Honestly, the most recent blow-up didn't even faze me, because they basically said that's what they were going to do to fund the stadium, the new stadium that was supposed to be in Oakland and was supposed to be at the best site.
Your game absolutely sucks!
Reggie Jackson, Catfish Hunter, Vida Blue, Rolly Fingers, Joe Rudy, Sal Bando. All gone by 1976. Some before 1976. Did I mention that this team won 3 straight World Series titles, and the only other franchise to do that is the New York Yankees? The only other Major League Baseball franchise to do that? You remember who was at the helm of the Athletics franchise at the time? You can blame Schott and Hoffman if you want, you can blame the Raiders if you want, you can blame Al Davis if you want, you can blame whoever in this situation for how we got to this, but the reality is we got to this point of selling off players again, just like in the 70s when there was a dynasty. This team didn't win as many World Series titles, but it did win fan appreciation. Mark McGwire, Dennis Eckersley, Ricky Henderson, Jose Canseco, and also Walt Heist, Terry Steinbach, and Dave Stewart. Gonzo Alonso. To be fair, 2 of those were gone before the change in ownership, but, I mean... Continuing the tradition of splendid fan relationships, or splendid fan relationship building, Jason Giambi, Johnny Damon, Miguel Tejada, Tim Hudson, Mark Mulder. Now, this, at this point, is more of like a regular common occurrence, and ever since the turn of the millennium, it's kind of just been develop star players, develop good teams, and then eventually sell them off because you want to be penny pinchers. And all it is just using the small market, which isn't even really a small market considering it's the Bay Area, as an excuse to not invest in the team. That's what all these owners have done. And you wonder why attendance started to deteriorate. Let me just roll some tape here. Why not?
But when it comes to the Cespedes trade, Billy Beane ends up going into damage control at the end of the season when they make it to the playoffs, and he says that he doesn't believe that they make the playoffs without the Cespedes trade. This has to be a joke. What the f is that? Honestly, what is that? Never mind the fact that they were leading the division before you made that Cespedes trade, and that they barely made it into the wild card after.
So, the sins of the Philadelphia days seem to be coming back up to them.
If you're gonna just be a greedy fuck, own it. There's nothing weaker than being afraid of cameras.
A silver spoon, overgrown man-child. What more did we expect? Rob Manfred is a buffoon. What more did we expect? So if you haven't picked up on this yet, I've been sort of giving my fan perspective of all of this mixed with the actual events and tried to be as neutral with how this whole thing played out. All these things played out. This is not just one thing, even though we've reached the elephant in the room now. And that much will continue as best as I can help it. So, April 19th, 2023, Mayor Sheng Tao, on the way home, got a call from the president at the time, Dave Kaval. News had been leaked. The A's had a binding deal to move to Las Vegas. No warning, no final breakdown, no heated debate. We gone. You can't imagine that the mayor was expecting anything like that, considering how up until that point they were supposedly only to $36 million short of covering the infrastructure funding and had a full week of final negotiations planned, hotel rooms booked, a summit scheduled, and even dubbed the Negotiation Summit. Fisher had even told her 2 months prior that he was serious about Oakland.
You liar!
So, our terminal, a grandiose vision of 55 acres on the Oakland waterfront, designed by renowned architect Bjarke Ingels, I hope I pronounced that properly, a community park built atop the ballpark, and plans for retail housing and entertainment. Holy fuck, what that would have done to this city. But also, simultaneously, holy shit, how is that going to happen? Because the city agreed to fund the surrounding infrastructure, and Fisher was saying that it would require less than $100 million in public support in a $12 billion project. I mean, that's the way it should be, but for a $12 billion project, only $100 million in support. You have the rest of the $12 billion. Somebody has made the point before that Fisher basically got an accountant and realized that he needed to go down to 9 acres in a Las Vegas parking lot behind the Tropicana Hotel. This all occurred from a leaked article, by the way. The fallout started because of a leaked article. Ignacio de la Fuente said something. He's a rich guy who uses his money to make money. I don't think he ever gave a damn about Oakland. Probably right. So, supposedly, the city moved too slowly. Supposedly. Despite getting down to a $36 million hurdle for a $12 billion project. And you're saying that the city was moving slowly? If I may fill in some blanks here, the expedition to San Jose is a part of the problem and why this took so long. The whole thing of losing revenue sharing money is fair. Granted, I don't really give a flying f because I don't think that such individuals like John Fisher are deserving of things like that, but you don't want to lose revenue sharing. So that's why they realized that they had to go to Vegas and they had to create a new deal. So what Las Vegas has to offer? $380 million in public funds and a glitzy growing market. A market that is 40th in media size compared to Oakland being 10th. I also wonder how the city is gonna pull that off given the Raiders deal and also given that people aren't going to watch baseball games the way they do American football games. There's a reason why NFL teams make more money than MLB teams. What I will say is the Raiders are overtaken by away fans. Allegiant Stadium is overtaken by away fans. You can plot a trip to Vegas if you're an away fan and just see your favorite team for like a weekend, and then you get to fly back to your home area, your hometown, or wherever. The MLB does not have that same effect. Even if we stipulate to the home games, 81 versus 8-9, it is entirely plausible that he just sells the team as soon as they go to Vegas, but wouldn't that be some shit, to be honest, if he just like decides to dip as soon as... So they're expecting 2.5 million fans in a 30K stadium, in a 33K stadium once the Vegas stadium is built. The owners unanimously voted for this entire pile of horse dung to go through. I think it was just because everybody was tired of it. Why exactly are things like this allowed? Because it's not like this has only happened with this franchise. That's what everybody's been asking. So, I guess this video really served no purpose at all.